Hang on, let me try that again. Let's do this one more time. Well, not one more time, because I'm going to be streaming for hopefully the rest of my life. But anyway, one more time today, maybe even tonight as well. Good morning, everybody. My name is Louis Vuitton. How are you all doing? So, it just goes to show how much that impact on taking a break from streaming has had on me, because I have not been doing an acknowledgement of country this whole time since I've been back, and that is shameful. So, as I should be doing, let me open the stream by acknowledging the traditional custodians on the land from the traditional custodians of the land from which I'm coming to you live from, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I'd like to pay my respect to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and welcome any Indigenous people who are joining us in the audience today. So, anyway, how you doing? My name is Louis Vuitton, and I am an Australian left-wing progressive streamer. I like to talk about things like, say, workers' rights, minority rights, in particular, trans and Indigenous rights. Also like to talk about masculinity quite a bit. I have a prepared piece of content in mind, which I want to work over the weekend, in terms of actually writing the script and getting that set up and whatnot. I have some good ideas for that one. It's going to be fun. So yeah. If that sounds like the kind of stuff that you're interested, then hey, it would mean a lot if you would chuck me a follow. Head over to YouTube and subscribe to me there. I do prepared content over on the YouTube channel. You can also follow me on Twitter and join the Discord through the link down below. And as you can see from what's on your screen in front of you, we have our daily dono goal. Let's see if we can reach it today and buy me a pizza. Because hey, I am a poor student and I do love pizza. Let me see about bringing the stream up on my phone so I can keep track of how good I'm looking. So yeah, I was more than a little bit shocked when I came across the content we're going to cover today. A friend of mine actually sent it to me, and I hadn't heard anybody talk about it. And it's interesting pulling information about it in the news, because there's no major news networks who are talking about it. There's no articles about it from The Guardian or The Washington Post. It's very much, yeah. I mean, I suppose I've got one from The Hill, which is probably like the biggest name. But aye. It's flying under the radar, and that's not good. So Florida, what are you doing? Stop it now. So yeah. Anyway, we'll get to that in a moment. I didn't stream yesterday because I had to edit a couple of segments, and my computer is such that it can't handle editing and streaming at the same time. So, I mean, you can help me with that by getting a new computer. So yeah, sorry about that. But anyway, I'm back today. It was good to take a break anyway, because I've been running myself ragged the last week. So yeah. It is the weekend now. Oh, although, I'm on uni holidays at the moment, so I will be earning, hopefully a bit more money from my part-time job. But hopefully I'll be able to pick up more shifts now, work several times a week, and who knows, I might be able to put some money aside, and, you know, maybe put something towards a computer. That would be nice. At the end of last year, I actually saved up quite a bit, and I was just about to start putting that towards a computer, and then my lovely, faithful employer made myself and 400 odd other colleagues redundant. So, unfortunately, that money went to other things like rent, you know, stuff like that. So yeah, after I busted my ass all last year, you know, in between studying, working through a pandemic, risking my life. Yeah. 1 second, hang on. Sorry to be boring. Anyway, so sorry about that. That's boring. Dead air. Dead air sucks. Anyway, so I'm also talking about. Oh yeah, my former employee being an asshole. So anyway, I talked about. Oh, actually, you know what's related to that? What's been on my mind a bit the last couple of days? I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm getting distracted. I'm thinking of something else. But anyway, I talked about this the other day on stream regarding something that I'd seen on Demon Mama's channel recently about how she was talking about how people need to stop working hard as a kind of way to push back individually, to take some individual direct action. You know, it's a way for us to push back against the conditions that we find ourselves in. You know, we're not unionized. We have next to no individual rights as workers. So, it's an idea. And I certainly busted my ass working that job last year, especially when I worked at the years before that, because I took on a bit of a different role last year. But especially in the years before that, I busted my ass. So yeah, but kind of on that topic, I mean, I've been thinking a lot about unions lately. Because, yeah, it's been on my mind. I've been watching a lot of content online that's about union. Well, no, like content. It's in like streamers, you know, talking about unions and such. You know, because like I've talked about him on the channel before. If you've heard of Paul's Ego, he's a huge union advocate. And it was interesting, actually. Oh, I wonder if we should. No, I won't watch it on stream. But anyway, he appeared on Vosh's channel not that long ago, maybe a week ago, and I was very excited when I saw it because their last conversation they had was last year. That was about May or June, and that was a really interesting conversation. They talked a little bit about workers' rights and unions, but they didn't get too much into it. So, but anyway, I found that conversation they had last year really, really interesting. It gave me a lot of food for thought, a lot of ideas. And the conversation they had the other day was primarily, or not primarily, but a large part of it was about labour and unions and direct action. And that kind of stuff, I mean, like, let's be honest. There needs to be a labour revitalisation in the modern world, in Australia, in America, in the UK, in everywhere. I mean, we saw the largest labour demonstration earlier this year in India, when I think it was 1 million people participated in a general strike, a farmers' strike. Didn't get covered at all in the Western media, of course, because, you know, the bosses aren't going to cover that. The bosses aren't going to cover, isn't like the bosses of the media company. You know, they're not going to cover that because they don't want people in our country getting ideas. You know, all this crap about, oh, unions are corrupt. Oh, it's like they'll say that unions are corrupt, but then they, you know, it's this kind of this mad competition to try and out corrupt the most corrupt union. And you know, I've said it before, but I'll say it again. You know, the most fair trading business is still more corrupt than the worst union. I mean, sorry, like unions are democratic. The priority of unions is people. The priority of businesses is profit. Like, has there been corrupt unions in the past? Absolutely. But their corruption pales compared to just about any medium to large businesses dealing. Even small business. God, I'm looking at me in the video and I really need a haircut. You know, that's... I'm getting one later today, alright? But anyway, yeah, unions have been on my mind. I had a disagreement with somebody I know from the politics scene at my university. Because there's a social group on Facebook that I'm a part of, which is a Facebook group for the PPE students, or not students, but like anyone interested in PPE at university. And for those that don't know, PPE isn't personal protective equipment. PPE is politics, philosophy, and economics. Anyway, so someone had put up a post in that group, and it was about why you shouldn't vote for the Australian Conservative Party, which, if you don't know, is the Liberal Party. Our Conservative Party is called the Liberal Party. Now, Australia is not so progressive that the Liberal Party is our Conservative Party. No, the Conservative Party is just called the Liberal Party, alright? They named themselves that so that they wouldn't appear so conservative. It's not working. Anyway, somebody put up a post about why you shouldn't vote Liberal. Understandable. And somebody had commented that, they asked, okay, well, what about, the Labour Party's crimes, or the Labour Party's faults? As in, like, the other party, the other two major parties, the other party, the more left-wing, progressive party. And this guy that I know put up quite a fart-sniffing essay of praise about the Labour Party, about, oh, go away. About how good they were. And I didn't reply to them. I just replied to the original comment, and all I said was that, the Labour Party is the lesser of two evils, and that's all that matters. Which is true. They are the lesser of two evils. So I've just lost the stream. Let me bring it up again. Anyway, and then it didn't make them happy. Instead, they started replying to me about how, I don't think that the party responsible for making Australia the way it is, could be considered any sort of evil. I promise that their answer was a lot more wanky than that. I'm reducing it down a bit. I can't remember exactly what they said. And then I said something along the lines of, I would not consider the party that broke our unions to represent Australians. Because if you don't know, in countries like America and the UK, it was the neoliberals or neocon conservatives that broke their unions. Reagan, Thatcher. However, in Australia, it wasn't our Conservative Party that broke our unions. It was our left-wing, supposed left-wing party, the Labour Party, under the Prime Ministership of Bob Hawke. Now, if you know anything about Australian politics, which, this might sound completely foreign to you, this might be like a whole other language, oh, it's cute that Australia has its own little government. It's like imagining, like, a community of like elves in your garden, you know, having their own government. Sure, okay, but humour me. Bob Hawke is lauded as this great politician. Like he's one of the few politicians that transcends partisanship. But he's praised by both sides of the aisle. I mean, the Labour Party loves him. The Liberal Party respects him. He's dead now, thank goodness. I hope he's burning in hell. But the thing about Bob Hawke is that people like to talk about how he introduced Medicare, for instance, which is, you know, Australia's public health. But no one ever talks about how he and the ACTU, the major trade union, broke the Australian unions. No one ever talks about how... I mean, like, really honestly, unions died under his leadership. They made some deal where the unions would give up the power of industrial action in favour of seeking resolutions through electoral politics. I don't know who was at the helm of the ACTU at the time, but like, the whole point of unions is that they don't work through electoral politics, they work through direct action. The only language that business and to an extent the government speaks is money. When things stop, when that money stops flowing, they stop and take notice. How are we supposed to resolve problems through electoral politics? Businesses can buy politicians. Individuals can't buy politicians. The only thing we have is our collective bargaining power. But not anymore, thanks to the Labour government and Bob Hawke. So yeah, we need a new Labour movement. General strike, whether or not we're unionised. Because it's only going to be something like a general strike that changes that law. Unless we can drag the Labour government back over the centre to the left. Because, and I've said it before, and it's upset Labour voters, Labour's not a left-wing party at all. It's not even a Liberal party. It's a right-wing party. What progressive policies do they support? In any sense, economic, social, whatever. Sorry. So, anyway, enough about the fantasy land of Australia. How about we take a look at some goings-ons in an actual country. Uh-oh. Oh, I didn't want this one. Okay, whatever. Anyway. Well. This is the one we've got. Florida government signs law requiring students, faculty, to be asked their political beliefs. That seems legal. Nothing untoward about this law. Let's find out. This is 3 days? 3 days ago now. I'm not hearing anybody talk about it. But again, no major fucking news companies are covering it. I think like The Hill was the biggest company I saw. So, at a glance, signed at Tuesday, legislation will require public universities to survey students and staff annually about their beliefs to assess viewpoint diversity on campuses. The bill does not specifically say what will be done with survey results, but DeSantis suggests budget cuts could be imminent if universities and colleges are found to be indoctrinating students. Florida government DeSantis on Tuesday signed legislation mandating public colleges and universities survey students and faculty about their beliefs in an effort to promote intellectual diversity on campuses. We obviously want our universities to be focused on critical thinking, academic rigor, DeSantis said during a news conference Tuesday. We do not want them as basically hotbeds for stale ideology. It used to be thought that a university campus was a place where you'd be exposed to a lot of different ideas. Unfortunately, now the norm is these are more intellectually repressive environments. Under Bill 233, surveys will be conducted annually on campuses to assess viewpoints, diversity, and intellectual freedom, and determine the extent to which competing ideas and perspectives are presented, and whether students and faculty feel free to express beliefs and viewpoints on campus and in the classroom. The bill does not specifically say what will be done with survey results, but DeSantis suggested budget cuts could be imminent if universities and colleges are found to be indoctrinating students. It's not worth tax dollars, and that's not something we're going to be supporting moving forward, the governor said. The legislation, which goes into effect July 1st, also aims to ensure students are being shown ideas that they may disagree with or find uncomfortable. The measure was among three hang on. Other measures included an expansion of civics education from K to 12 schools, including instruction about the perils of communist and totalitarian governments. We'll get to that in a sec. Any comments? Anyway, so it's kind of interesting because if this was like in a deep red state, and this was like some progressive politician coming out and doing this, as in like, there's so much bullshit in the South about how slavery was fought, the Civil War was fought about states' rights, and there's lies in education, and we're cutting through that. It'd be different. However, obviously this is worded very, sorry, I'm about to sneeze. Excuse me. This is worded very, carefully. The way it's talking about education and diversity of thought, diversity of knowledge. But what it's really talking about is which of these schools, which of these universities are teaching ideas that we don't like. When it says stuff like whether students and faculty feel free to express beliefs and viewpoints on campus and in the classroom, it means stuff like, does somebody feel comfortable standing up and saying that America is not a racist country? And this stuff about indoctrinating students, or are they teaching CRT, And students are also being shown ideas that they may disagree with or find uncomfortable. That's not talking about showing them ideas about like, hey, America is a racist country and this is the way that it targets minorities. No, it's talking about how America isn't racist and you need to deal with that. Sorry. Feeling a little bit sneezy this morning. So let's be very clear. This is worded very carefully. However, it is going to be used to target schools that teach ideas. Well, target universities, because critical race theory is not taught at a school level. Target universities that teach ideas like that. That teach ideas about systemic racism. That criticize things like capitalism. Because guess what? If you're studying just about any, social science, there's no way that you're coming out of university a capitalist. If you're learning political science, sociology, anthropology, anything like that, when you actually study the theory behind these ideas, there's no chance that you come out the other end of that a capitalist. And you see, DeSantis isn't quite a fan of that. So I would love to see this questionnaire, or whatever it's going to be, this survey. I would love to see how it's read. I'm really curious. I'm really curious about how similar it will be to McCarthyism era interviews. I wonder what's going to be there. you know, have you ever participated in a protest? Do you consider yourself an anarchist? Would you burn the US flag? Do you support Black Lives Matter? I wonder. I'm very curious. I wish we had a copy. I do have a copy of the bill itself. However, it might be a little dry, but we can see if we can, get anything from it. Because I'm interested in these ideas of, like, defining the term intellectual freedom and viewpoint diversity. Because that just sounds like entertaining conspiracy theory to me. And shield, which is interesting. Now, where did it started on here? Okay. For the purpose of this subsection, the term intellectual freedom and viewpoint diversity means the exposure of students, faculty, and staff to, and the encouragement of their exploration of, a variety of ideological and political perspectives, which, in and of itself, sounds fine. That sounds, in fact, more than fine. That sounds very reasonable. That sounds great. However, knowing the conservatives of America and around the world, intellectual freedom and viewpoint diversity just sounds like I said, entertaining conspiracy theory. Entertaining ideas such as the police are not racist. And that America was not founded on slavery. And shield. Shield means to limit students, faculty members, or staff members' access to, or observation of, ideas and opinions that they may find uncomfortable, unwelcome, disagreeable, or offensive. I might have to read through this off stream. I'd actually be interested in reading it. We're not going to read the whole thing now, because that would be just boring. It's 12 pages of this, like, very dry material. Stuff like this is, like, it's law, it's intended to be interpreted by lawyers. It's not intended to be interpreted by laymen such as us. Free expression on campus. Oh, how well are you doing there? Shield means to limit... Well, I know what shield means. Right to free speech activities. Interesting. We're in Red Scare 3, The Revenge right now, so it really... even though this sounds like, oh, we need to protect freedom of thought and diversity, I know the context that this law is being introduced, so I don't trust it whatsoever. Anyway, there's been a little bit more to this story. Florida governor, students will be taught communism is evil. Evil. What a, childish perspective. Evil. Not communism is dangerous. Communism is flawed. Communism has been misinterpreted. Communism, is, wrong. Communism is evil. Evil. Really? Okay. Alright, let's have a look. Surrounded by lawmakers, Governor DeSantis speaks at the end of a legislative session on April 30th. Okay, whatever. Thought that'd be something interesting. So, civics education will be expanded in Florida, including instruction about communist and totalitarian governments, and state universities will be prevented from quashing conservative ideology under bills. Would you look at that? There you go. University will be prevented from quashing conservative ideology under bills Republican Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed Tuesday. There you go. So, entertaining diversity of thought and intellectual ideas doesn't mean making sure that all viewpoints are being presented from an academic perspective. It means entertaining conservative conspiracy theories about how, like I said, America was actually founded in 1776 and it wasn't founded on slavery. And about how policing isn't racist. And about how there's no problems whatsoever with capitalism. So we're at that point. We're at the point, like, this is worse than Trump's patriot education. We're at the point now where we're teaching conspiracy theory in school. Conservative ideology. Like, what is conservative ideology? Are we saying that in schools, children will be taught that God is real? That marriage is only between a man and a woman? That there are only two genders and that sex and gender are interchangeable? If we're going so far as to call communism evil, does that mean we are teaching that capitalism is good and moral and righteous? What is conservative ideology? I mean, how far back do you want to go? Are we also teaching about how certain people deserve to be slaves? Because that's conservative ideology. The people who pushed back against abolition were conservatives. They were trying to conserve the status quo. That's what conservative means. How far back do you want to go? We can go even further back. We can go back to the Enlightenment. Are we going to be teaching how the conservatives wanted to preserve feudalism and monarchies? What is conservative ideology? DeSantis signed 3 bills at a Lee County middle school, 2 of which dealt with civics education, the other guaranteeing the freedom of expression at state universities. Ah, I see. So mandating that universities stop basing their education on facts and studies and data and actual academic knowledge. Instead, you are forced to entertain conspiracy. Right, that's freedom of expression. Well, I mean, it is freedom of expression. You do have the right to go around saying that America was not founded on slavery. However, the thing about universities, the thing about education, is that it has to be taught based on fact. DeSantis said students need to be taught that communist and totalitarian governments are evil. Evil. Well, nobody needs to be told that a totalitarian government is evil. But I have news for DeSantis. I'm afraid that there's never been a communist government in the world, ever, in history. Sorry. Why would somebody flee across shark-infested waters, say leaving from Cuba, to come to southern Florida? Why would somebody leave a place like Vietnam? Why would people leave these countries and risk their life to be able to come here? DeSantis said. It's important that students understand that. I wonder, are you so interested in teaching students about the way that America has bullied those countries, about how America has waged wars in those countries in an effort to drive them into the ground? I wonder why they'd be leaving those countries to come to a more wealthy one. When you're going around destabilizing the nations. Why would people leave a country that's been torn apart by war and economic sanctions and every which way you can attack them to destabilize them? I wonder why people would leave that country. Like, aren't people just happy in Yemen? Like, why would people leave that? Why would people leave those countries? Why would people leave somewhere like North Korea is a bad example. Why would someone want to leave Syria? You know? You can't take a shit on a country and then wonder, like, why are people complaining about the smell? The new law will require the development of a K-12 civics curriculum that, among other things, would include portraits in patriotism. Okay. That tell the personal stories of civic mindedness. Oh boy. Among these stories will be first-person accounts of victims of other nations' governing philosophies Who can compare those philosophies with those of the United States? Ah, yes. I'm sure that the philosophy of the United States will be portrayed very accurately. State university students will be required to pass a civic literacy assessment exam and take a course on civic literacy in order to graduate. Currently, they can choose the exam or the course. High school students who take a United States government course will have to take a civic literacy assessment exam. If they pass, the university's civics requirements will be waived. The third bill DeSantis signed protects free speech at state universities by saying the schools can't shield students from accessing or observing ideas and opinions they may find uncomfortable, unwelcome, disagreeable, or offensive. Such as... Republicans have often criticized universities for promoting liberal ideology. I think you mean leftist ideology. Come on. DeSantis said parents worry that when they send their children to universities, children don't go to universities. Why should... who cares about the parents? They're an adult. The students are adults now. When they send their adults to university, that they'll become indoctrinated. It used to be thought that a university campus was a place where you'd be exposed to a lot of different ideas. Unfortunately now, the norm is really these are more intellectually repressive environments. You have orthodoxies that are promoted and other viewpoints are shunned or even suppressed. We don't want that in Florida. It's like... He's complaining about this shit, but this is... They've always said this shit about universities. For hundreds of years, people have said this about universities. That universities are these hotbeds of liberal and leftist ideology. Is this anything new, mate? And this idea of, other viewpoints are shunned or even suppressed. Well, yeah, if you go around saying that the police aren't racist, you're a fucking idiot. So of course I'm going to shun someone that says that. When we have a whole host of data that says that they are. I saw this stuff before. This is just, nothing to do with the actual, the education shit. Okay, that's it. Well, okay, so there you go. Cool. Very cool. I am very glad to see that diversity of thought and freedom of expression is being protected in Florida. I am very glad to see that Florida values academic freedom and the right to freedom of expression and the right to an education. I'm very glad to see that Florida is tipping its hand and, Florida's in a race with Texas to be, the worst state in America. Texas is here's this heartbeat bill, and Florida's oh yeah, here's this bill that bans trans kids from participating in sport. And Texas is oh yeah, well we're not going to improve our infrastructure to protect our citizens from the hot or cold. And Florida's oh yeah, well here's this bill that bans communism in schools. Guys, you're both terrible. And like I said, this is worded in a way which makes it sound like, oh no, we are protecting diversity of thought and academic education. When really, what it's saying is, we don't give a shit about that. We just want conspiracy to be taught at universities. So yeah, very cool, Florida. Thanks. So yeah. Hey, if you're enjoying the stream, it would mean a whole lot if you would follow me on Twitch, subscribe to me on YouTube, follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, the link down below, and contribute to the Pizza Fund. Because, yeah, I'm thinking that was fun, and by fun I mean horrible, painful even, agonizing. So yeah, I really worry about the future of education and academic integrity in America and in Australia too, because we're seeing anti-CRT bills crop up in this country as well. So it'll be interesting how the next 5-10 years go with, Red Scare 3. So yeah, I'm a bit scared about how things are going to go, because if they continue as they have been now, well, it's only going to get worse. Hopefully, I know that Biden will oppose this sort of crap, so I'm not going to put too much faith in him, but hopefully, at least on the federal level, stuff like this gets attacked. But anyway, in the meantime, I'm Louis Vuitton. Thank you all for watching. I mean a whole lot if you'd subscribe, but otherwise, stay safe. I love you all.